Welcome to Plated, the monthly web series hosted by Marion Technical College. The weather should be getting cooler and everyone enjoys a delicious cup of coffee. Today, we're at Symmetry Coffee and Crepes to see just how that works. Symmetry Coffee and Crepes have been on the corner of Magnolia and First Street. They're celebrating their second year. Ted Lynn, owner and operator of Symmetry, is waiting inside to give us a personal tour. Ted, good to see you, Fred.
Good to see you.
How you doing?
Good.
So you're going to show us a little bit about coffee this morning.
That's right. We're going to take a look at coffee.
Excellent. Looking forward to it.
Awesome.
So Ted, when people come into your restaurant or your establishment and they see this big machine, what exactly is this and what does it do?
This is our coffee roaster, and this is what we use to roast our beans so that we have full control over the flavor profile of the coffee when the customers get it.
Excellent. So what countries do you source your beans from?
We basically source from all over the world. We try to stick with direct trade, which we feel is the best practice. It gives the farmer and their families more money for their product that they're working so hard to give us. And we also source from mostly micro mills, which are smaller coffee farms that produce a much higher quality coffee.
So as you source your beans from all these different countries and you get them here, what exactly, can you go through the process of what you do here?
Sure. So basically what we do is once we get the green coffee, there's a couple of steps that we have to do. Is we do a cupping, taste the coffee, we sample roast it, and that gives us an idea of whether or not the coffee is going to be good for us. If we feel that it's a good fit for our shop, then we elect to go ahead and make a purchase of that coffee, and then they send it to us.
So you basically develop a roasting profile, I guess, for that bean. So we have our beans, we're going to pour them in the hopper.
Yep, so we got our beans up here, green beans in the hopper. We're waiting for a charge temp. So it's already pretty much exceeded the charge temp that we're looking for. We want it to get to about 380. And again, you notice there's a difference in that temperature in this one here, and that's because the computer has its own temperature probe. When you see the beans go in and you see the curve start, you're going to start seeing the bean temp drop all the way down. Okay. Once it gets to that point, I'm going to turn my fire off right now, let it cool down a little bit so it gets to temperature. And this is the point where it may take about 3 or 4 minutes to do that.
So the environmental temperature is the temperature inside the chamber, and the bean temperature is actually the beans are hitting a probe in the chamber.
Yeah, there needs to be enough beans in there for that probe to be able to register the bean temp. Once it gets to about 1 minute, we'll fire the gas back up. All right, we're going to turn my gas up to about 1.5 kPas. Make sure my air is set on 30. Now the air is very crucial. We'll make sure that we are getting good even airflow through the beans so that you're not just getting conduction, but we're also getting convection. So that what it does, it helps the drying phase. Right now we're in the drying phase of the bean. And it's just like, if you have steak, anything like that, steak's not going to turn brown until the moisture is gone.
Understand.
The beans are not going to turn yellow or brown until the moisture is gone. So that's what we're doing now. We're entering the drying phase for the first 3 to 5 minutes. And then we're going to have what's called a color change. Once it hits yellow, we're going to mark that. And that's called the Maillard reaction. So the Maillard reaction is literally for about 5 to 6 minutes, and it's going to start developing. Once we hear first crack, and this all depends on the coffee. Once it hits first crack, that's where we're going to mark it, and that's our development time through that time. And with this coffee here, we're looking for about 1 minute and 30 to 1 minute and 38 seconds for development time. Anything over that, you start getting too dark, and you're going to start losing flavor of the coffee.
So all total, from a green bean to a roasted bean, what's the total time on that?
This one's almost 14 minutes. 13 minutes and 58 seconds is what total time we're looking at. I do have a little bit more in this one than what I normally roast. So instead of just 2 pounds, I did 2.24. So it's going to take a little bit more energy, and it may last just a little bit longer. So what I'm getting ready to do now is I'm getting ready to mark. Again, the computer's not making any adjustments. I'm making the adjustments. I'm just marking the adjustments I'm fixing to make. In 3 minutes, I want to take my gas up a little higher and my airflow. So we want to really dry these beans out.
the pressure that I see here is basically how much gas, flame, is going into the bean chamber.
Correct. So you have the drum here, and if you look inside, you can actually see the flames going against the drum.
Yeah.
If you look, this is what we're trying to achieve. We're trying to mimic, once it gets to this marker here, I really want this red line to be as close to this gray line as possible. This is my profile. This is the part that's really crucial to the Maillard reaction that we're looking at. You gotta think of metal. When you apply heat to metal, it takes a few minutes for it to heat up. Same thing when you take the heat source off of it, it takes a little bit of time to cool down, just like a saute pan.
Right.
So at this point in time, I want to check the beans. I'm going to use my trier. I'm going to look at the beans, and we're looking for a nice yellow. Okay, we're almost there. Once we get to that yellow phase, that's the Maillard reaction. That's what we're looking for. And that's what I'm marking. I'm not so worried about the smell at this point, because right now it's going to smell like kind of hay, grass.
Yep.
Once it gets past the Maillard reaction, about halfway through, you're going to start getting more of a nutty smell, aroma to it. Once it starts getting towards the first crack, you're really going to start smelling some of the natural flavor notes that start coming through in the coffee. Now is we're going to add the water. We're all going to add about 30 grams of water. We're going to form what's called a bloom, and that's going to allow the gases to escape. You're going to see it kind of blow up like a mushroom. We're going to set our timer for about 30 seconds. You start seeing it kind of foam up and develop. Okay, that's the bloom. That's what we're looking for. We're trying to get rid of some of the gases that are in there. Those gases can affect the flavor if you go directly into a brewer. That's why people say, why does your pour over taste different than what a regular coffee brewer does? And that's one of the reasons why. When you're brewing coffee, you want to stick anywhere between 199 to 205. Anything hotter than that, you're kind of scorching it, which is what you don't want to do, and that's where it ends up causing a bitterness to the coffee. We're very particular not just on the the coffee roasting aspect, but also the brewing part of it. We want to make sure that we maintain the good, floral balance of the coffee. And this is, a good process. We want to make sure we add a little bit of water, kind of let it go down. Then we're going to add some more water and let it go down.
I noticed the pour over has a cone shape with unique striations in it. What's the uniqueness to that?
So what it does, the striations actually allow the water to go through the filter and down. It channels the water, but it allows the water to go through the coffee. There are some coffee brewers, they affect the coffee differently. We offer several different brewing methods here. The Chemex and the Kalita are two different aspects of this. This one here obviously has like striations here, but what you're going to do is the filter that goes in one of these is very similar to what you would get in a regular coffee maker. So this one channels everything down to one point. It's a little bit quicker. It ends up with a brighter finish. Where this is going to be a more well-balanced extraction. It's going to allow the coffee to kind of sit and brew a little bit longer. And so it could come out a little bit stronger in the end. But to me, this is one of my favorite brewing methods. I like the Kalita just because I like the finish. Then you have the common French press. Most people are familiar with the French press. It's a much coarser grind, but it also has a dirtier finish. Some people like that muddy, dirty finish to their coffee. And then you also have, the air press, which is kind of a combination between espresso as well as a French press. They have a little bit of a dirty finish, but it's also a very strong, dry coffee, much smaller.
So the V60 and the Kalita, basically in layman's terms, regulates the speed at which the water filters through the ground.
Yep.
There's literally a science to the perfect cup of coffee.
Yep. And of course your extraction should take anywhere between 3.5 and 4.5 minutes. If it's taking too long, then your grind can be too fine. If it's going too fast, then your grind is too coarse. So that can depend on the vessel.
So we talked about the science pretty much of how the coffee is made and different brewing methods. And your coffee house, 90% of the time it's using this facility, this machine.
Yep.
And what does it exactly do? Because I see a lot of handles and a lot of paddles.
Yeah, so basically this is our espresso machine. This is what we use to make any kind of espresso-based beverage. Everything from a latte all the way down to a macchiato. And there's various sizes. And basically, all of our drinks are going to come standard with a 1 shot of espresso, and from there we're going to add specific amounts of milk to that, and that's what determines the different types of beverages. Now, on the flip side of that, there are some things like, you know, you may go to another shop and their cappuccino may come in 3 different sizes. We run our beverages are based on a traditional beverage, the traditional latte, traditional cappuccino, cortado. So there's standard sizes along with that. So you're not going to get a small, medium, large latte. You're not going to get a small, medium, large cappuccino. They're all just a standard size.
Right. So we went to the science of roasting the bean, and then we put it into the grinder to establish the grind for the machine.
Yep. So another aspect of this, you know, I guess you would say the mechanical part of this whole process is that we are very particular on making sure that the grind is right, okay, for the coffee, because if not, the extraction is going to come out bitter, or too fine, it's going to be too strong. If it's too coarse, it's going to come out very watery and bright. So with this, we have to make these adjustments throughout the day because there's several things that are going to come into play. Temperature, humidity play a part in this coffee throughout the day.
Which is huge in Florida, because one day it's raining and it's cool, and the next day the sun comes out and you have a lot of humidity. So that actually plays a part in how you brew the coffee.
So during the summertime, it's kind of a nightmare for us because we're constantly having to make changes to the grind because of the amount of humidity that's in the air.
Wow.
So during the cooler months, when it's cool and dry, it's much easier to maintain.
I would venture to say that I would say some of your chain coffee houses do not do that.
They do not.
Right, excellent. Ted, many people drive by, they come in and grab a cup of coffee, but most of them don't know the history of Symmetry, where you come from and why you chose to pursue coffee.
It's kind of a funny story. This has been like a 20-year dream of ours, mine and my wife's, and you know, we really feel that this was the place we needed to kind of plant our feet. We had other opportunities that just didn't work out for us. But coffee was not always something that I enjoyed until I was in the military. You know, staying up late, pulling all-night shifts. You know, I needed something to keep me up. We didn't have the Monster energy drinks back then, so it was led up to the coffee. Of course, back then we had Boy Scout coffee or Cowboy coffee, whichever way you want to call it. But it was a couple of deployments that we had that I was actually able to taste a decent cup of coffee. I was like, you know what, there's something to this. And the more I started tasting coffee, the more I started getting into it and understanding a little bit more about it. It really intrigued me. And coming with a culinary background, I figured, you know, why not? Let's take a different, you know, approach to it. And of course, there's been several different ways of coffee. I studied, you know, everything from, you know, back in the industrial age, how it began, how coffee was founded, and then where it is nowadays, which we have specialty coffee or third wave shops. And that's kind of where we fall into. It's something that we wanted to be able to control the flavor profile of that coffee, bring out the best that it has to offer, other than just giving something, brewing a cup of coffee and giving it to people. It's easy to do. How can you stand out? How can you make the coffee better that the people can experience something totally different? And that's how we end up with Symmetry. Is that we wanted to be able to give people an experience. We didn't want them just to come through, you know, drive through, grab and go. We want them to come inside and experience. And that's kind of where the atmosphere came in. Is we created an atmosphere where people will come in, sit down for hours at a time. We don't want to rush anybody. We want them to experience each other, fellowship, as well as a great cup of coffee, and see, you know, what we do behind the scenes.
And you being a business owner here in Ocala, you do a lot of things for the community, and one of them is the suspended coffee program that you have.
Yeah.
And how does that work?
Basically, a suspended cup program is something that we actually stole from another shop up in Maine. We got the idea that someone had sent to me on I think it was an Instagram post, and we contacted the coffee shop up there, and they're like, by all means, you know, do it, because we're about trying to pay it forward. And what it does is it gives people, the community, the power to invest in some people that may not have the funds or cannot afford a cup of coffee. And not just any cup of coffee. We want them to have a good cup of coffee and have a great experience just like anybody else. Because, you know, specialty coffee is considered a luxury. There's a lot of people out there that don't get the chance to experience that. So what this does is it allows the customers to come in, they can pay for a suspended cup of coffee. We basically keep track of those with these tags. When one is purchased, we hang a tag up. Someone walks through the door, asks for a suspended cup of coffee, we pull the tag down. So we keep track of them as they come through.
Excellent, excellent. Symmetry Coffee and Crepes. A lot of people forget there's crepes at the end of your title.
Yes.
What kind of crepes do you offer?
We offer everything from breakfast crepes, savory crepes, as well as the sweet crepes.
Why crepes?
Crepes. That was one of the things that we would kind of bounce back and forth with about whether we do waffles or we do crepes. And looking at Ocala did not have a creperie. It was something unique, something different, but it was also something that complemented the coffee. It wasn't so heavy that it would take away from the coffee, but it also provided another experience that was unique to this area.
Excellent. Well, I'm ready to look at some coffee. I'm ready to drink some coffee and try some crepes.
All right.
So let's do this.
Let's do it.
552.